All right, y'all. Now, I am no chef like my girl Selena. Hey, Selena. But from time to time, I can do a little something in the kitchen. So I have had too many requests from people saying, teach me how to bake those salmon croquettes. So I happen to be making salmon croquettes today after church. It's quick and easy. We're having salmon croquettes and spinach and onions and rice. So here is a quick dig on how you make salmon croquettes. At least this is how I made them, and I learned how to make them from my grandmother. And although I don't eat fish, and I'm no longer carnivorous, I still prepare carnivorous foods. So, because I have children that I have not been able to break yet. I digress. Anyway, so here is my recipe for salmon croquettes. Now, there are many rules of thumb on the salmon, so I'm going to put that on out there. If I can go to a fishery or a grocery store that sells fresh salmon, I have them grind it up. They do that. Ask them about it. I also use red pepper, jalapeno pepper, that's garlic, green bell pepper, and Vandalia sweet onions. Now, if you can't get the fresh salmon, then this is my favorite one. It's the Pillar Rock. They say it's all natural. I'm going to take their word for it. It's wild Alaskan peak salmon, but it seems to have, I don't know, it seems to be a bit less processed, if that's even possible, coming out of a can. It makes good salmon croquettes. Unfortunately, when I went to the store, they only had one can of that. So I got some chicken of the sea. And so today we're going to mix them together. So again, we got red peppers, jalapeno peppers, all of them diced, garlic, green bell pepper, and Vandalia sweet onions. Now, here's the thing that I do that many people don't do. I do something called saute, or I heat up the vegetables to bring the flavor out. So that's what I'm going to do now. So hold on a second. All right, I'm back. So I am a cast iron freak. I shouldn't say a cast iron freak. I love cast iron. I think nothing else has the flavor that cast iron creates, and a lot of that has to do with the fact that you don't really take the seasoning out of the cast iron. So in there is a pat of butter, and I'm going to put all the vegetables in here and start them to saute. Now, you don't want to cook them until they're well, but what you do want to do is unlock the flavor so that when you mix them with the salmon, you get the flavor as it's cooking. It's already unlocking. Because salmon, you shouldn't need to overcook. So in there is a little bit of peanut oil and a tiny pat of butter, and just melt it on down and start with the vegetables. All right, so we get them all in here. No rhyme or reason. Just want to kind of make sure they all get covered with some shortening so that they don't stick. I don't cover them because then they'll overcook. And just kind of blend them all together. And, you know, let them heat up. You'll know because the color will start to darken a bit on all of them. I think food should be colorful. So, yeah, you have to use colorful foods. They add flavor. So bell peppers, red peppers, yellow peppers, different kinds of peppers, different types of onions, different types of seasoning, spices. You need all of that stuff to give it flavor. So we're going to let this cook for a minute, and then I'm going to go and clean the salmon. I'll be right back. All right. Our vegetables have started to break down. which is what we want. See, they're green and red or orange or whatever color that is, and they're still that color, but they've now melded together, and their flavors are starting to come out, and you can smell them in the atmosphere. Now, in the meantime, I took the salmon out of the can, and I got the bones out. Hate the bones, and I don't even like the skin. I see a piece right there. So I take all that off. I leave a little bit of the fat and the skin. And so now what I'm going to do is put the vegetables into the bowl as the first step to seasoning the meat. So let me do that, and then I will have more freedom with my hands to be able to do the rest. All right, be right back. Okay, so put the vegetables on top of the fish, on top of the salmon. Now, I don't use a whole lot of seasoning because the peppers do a lot of the seasoning for me, but I do add Morton's Nature Seasoning, Himalayan sea salt, the pink kind in the grinder, and garlic powder. Not garlic salt, garlic powder. You'll also need, for each can that you use, you'll need 2 eggs, because that helps keep everything together. And then you will also need yellow cornmeal. Okay? So I'll be right back. All right. So this is what salmon croquette looks like before you add anything to it, like cornmeal. But unfortunately, I'm out of cornmeal. So anyway, here is that Morton seasoning. I'm going to just sprinkle a little bit on there like so. And grounded up the Himalayan sea salt already. So there's the rest of that. Now, I don't have cornmeal. Check your supply list before you start cooking, y'all. But I do have some of this Andes fish breading stuff. And it actually will work pretty much the same. But notice that it's seasoned, so you want to put a little less in it. Now, some people add their cornmeal after the patty is formed. I do not. I add it before to make the patty. And I can determine how much I need by how thick it gets. So as we stir this up, if it starts to thicken up to the point where we can make a patty out of it, then I've got enough meal. If not, then I need to add some more. Now, you want to maintain some of the moisture, and you will maintain some of the moisture because you have such good vegetables in there. And your peppers, they hold moisture. So we mix it around. Still looks a little soggy for me. So add a little bit more. You don't want it too bready because you want the taste of the salmon to come out. So I'd say probably right around there. Now, I'm going to tell y'all, I don't do a cup of this and a teaspoon of that. I come from the land of a tainch. Just a shake, just a smidge. That's where I reside. So if you don't know what a tainch is, you probably shouldn't even be looking at this video. Because I really don't know how to describe it to you. But at any rate, there we go. We're starting to get thick. And after this is thick enough, then we will go ahead and start to form the patties. But in the meantime, we have, again, our cast iron skillet with peanut oil. I only use peanut oil if I have to fry something. And we have it turned pretty low right now. But you don't want to cook the salmon patties too quickly, but you don't want them to stay in there and soak up all that oil. So it's kind of a balance, and depending on the pot that you're using will determine exactly how hot you need to have the flame. So we'll be back after we form the patties. Okay. So the 2 cans and all those vegetables, the 4 eggs, and the breading should make 8 balls. And these balls are about the size of my palm, so I would think that they'd be, you know, an average size. And you take those balls. If they don't sit in balls, then they're too loose. So that's a rule of thumb. You take the balls and you put them in the grease and you let them cook. Now see, that one might be not ready yet, but this one maybe. So we turn it over. We'll let that one cook a little longer. It's got a little piece that broke off. We'll just take that little piece off of it. Oh, he just loose all together, ain't he? Well, we'll just let him do what he's doing over there. These ones turned out good. Now, if that does happen, and sometimes you have to adjust which cooking, you know. If your chicken don't have enough seasoning, you got to put some more seasoning on it, blah, blah, blah. Same with salmon croquettes. If they're not staying together, then you might need them to be a bit thicker in their patty. Okay? So we'll let them cook. These have been on for about 6 minutes now. So we'll let them cook a little longer and see what happens on the other side of it. All right, we'll be back. So then you end up with beautiful salmon croquettes. And that's kind of it. So I hope this helps somebody. And yeah. So let me feed my children. And you guys have a blessed Sunday.